I finally finished free motion quilting this king size quilt. I have been working on this quilt most of this summer, off and on, and I just finished free motion quilting it, and I was like double checking. I was like, did I miss any part of it? But I think I actually got it all done, and it's just huge. It just keeps going on and on and on and on forever. And I finally finished the free motion quilting part of it. So the next step is to trim up the edges. So I need to, because once you finish quilting, you have kind of this overhang. So I've got this extra batting to go. And actually, I had made a video about how I made a piano key border for this quilt, but I actually had to go back and add a second strip of piano key to one side because it still was not quite big enough. But most of the back is a king size sheet, and then I pieced a piano key border for the back with leftover pieces from the front. This quilt is set on point, and most of the fabrics in here are from Sharon, Holland. And actually this quilt pattern is called Charming One. I made it 4 times larger than the original size. The original size, the Charming One quilt pattern, is to make something that is like a throw size, and I literally made it 4 times larger. So this is the biggest quilt I've ever made. It is the one that took me the longest, but it's also probably the one I'm gonna be most proud of because I quilted it myself. I didn't send it to a long armor. I pieced it myself. I cut all the pieces out. The pattern called for charmpacks, but my friend wanted these beautiful fabrics, and the line was actually pretty much discontinued. Like, you know, they put a line of fabric out and it'll be in stores for a while, and you can get it in jelly roll, charmpacks, fat quarters. The only thing we could find online, like the inspiration picture she sent me, was fat quarters. So I cut them all down to 5-inch squares. And so this was the pattern that I used, Charming One by Sharon, Holland. And then I ordered this fabric, which is Art Gallery Fabric, the Season of Tribute. This one I believe was called Cantha. I'm trying to see if it's on here on the edge anywhere where I can see, but I think this one was called Cantha. Yeah, I don't see it now, but I'm pretty sure when I ordered it, it was called Cantha. And it just kind of has this little bit of a print on it, but it's mostly a solid. And so this is the fabric that I used to coordinate to do all of my setting triangles, because this is basically little squares set on point. And then I tried to just really mix it up and make it really look scrappy. Lots of different colors. And then this is the fabric that I'm gonna use for the binding. And so this one is also part of that original line. And so I had cut all my 5-inch squares. I actually still have a few 5-inch squares left, but this is the fabric I'm gonna use for my binding. It's gonna be a nice stripy binding. So I am so excited to be done with the quilting part. I've already cut some of my binding strips. I know I'm gonna need a lot because this is gonna be a large perimeter to go around, but my next step is just gonna be trimming it up, and I will hopefully be posting this. I don't know, today is Monday. I'm a nurse, I work on Tuesday, so I'm not sure how long it will take me to edge it up and get the binding on, but I'm hoping to have this up on YouTube. Hopefully by the time you're watching this, I don't know when it's gonna be, but king size quilt in progress. We're getting there.
My daughter Natalie giving her impression of what I do all day. So now the next step to getting this finished is I need to trim up all these edges. I have done some free motion quilting and an ivory colored thread all over, and now I need to try to trim off all this extra, the extra backing and batting, and get it ready to add binding. And what I have learned from other quilts I have made is the better of a job I do getting the edges even and all the extra bits off will make it much easier to add the binding. And it's better to be overzealous with trimming it down, I guess, than to leave uneven edges or batting sticking out, because anything that you leave uneven will just make it harder on yourself later when you have to add the binding. That's my personal experience with the trimming it up. So the next step is to make my binding strips. And so I am trying to do this the correct way, which is where you lay them right sides together and you sew them on the diagonal. And that way it will kind of reduce bulk at your seams. And so I'm working on making my binding strips. I love this stripy fabric. I think a stripy binding is just super fun.
I finished my first king size quilt. I'm really, really excited. I don't know if I will ever make a king size quilt again. I did put a stripe binding on it, and it does have that piano key border on the back. It's huge, it's massive. It's actually, this is a king size bed. It's hanging down over all the sides. It's got like 2 feet extra hanging off over here. I wanted to show some other quilts I've made for size reference. This is a quilt I made for my son. This was my previous, I think, biggest quilt I ever made. And look, it's not even close, right? Like, this is so much bigger this way, but this was like the previous biggest quilt I had made. And then I had made this one for my husband for Valentine's. And it was also, I thought, fairly big, was this one. Again, smaller than the Minecraft one, but still nowhere near as big as this massive king size quilt. And I thought this one was a hard quilt. I made this quilt for my daughter Natalie, and this one might be my favorite one I've ever done ever. And it was, again, I thought fairly big, but for comparison, again, these quilts were all roughly the same size, like throw size quilts, right? And you can just see how much bigger this king size quilt is. It's like an extra couple of feet all the way around bigger. And then this is one I made for my daughter Katie. And this one's even smaller than all the other ones. And so anyway, this king size quilt, I don't know if I will ever do another king size quilt, but I am very proud of myself for finishing this one, and I'm very excited. I've got to text my friend and see when we can meet up to deliver this to her, because I am not putting it in the mail, because if anything happened to it in the mail, it is completely irreplaceable, because not only is it like hours and hours of work, but a lot of these fabrics are discontinued. So, or like they're not in print right now. So a lot of these fabrics that are in this quilt top, I can't even, like, this is just irreplaceable. I bought my first sewing machine last October. So it's been almost a year since I started sewing. And so I've made, I think I'm up to 16 quilts now, but this king size quilt is currently my biggest one, and I'm proud of it. And thank you for tuning in just to see what I've been working on, and happy quilting.